I want to welcome our guests for this hour, federal trial attorney Alexis Rosenberg and trial attorney Robert Hilla. Thank you both for being on with me. But let me ask you, Alexis, when we're looking at these video clips being used, I think the reality is you also have to think about not only what she's saying, but is it going to portray her as someone who may be likable or not to a jury? How much does that affect a jury, or does it at all when they are deliberating?
I agree with you, Judge. I mean, generally, this is a nightmare for a defense attorney to have your client giving not just one interview, but multiple interviews, as well as talking to the media as she's entering and exiting the courtroom. So it can, A, be taken out of context, as you said, and B, how are they going to take it? Because in the one clip you just showed, she was snickering. I mean, she was snickering as she's talking about whether she hit him or not, and that could really be taken wrong.
Alexis, weigh in your thoughts as you're listening to Karen Reed in her own words as she's been exiting the courthouse.
Attorney, I'm cringing. So, I mean, but obviously she's had a conversation with her attorneys. This has been determined that that's how they're going to proceed, and that's what she's doing. I'm sure they've also prepped and gone over, responses that they would prefer and not prefer, and that she's just not going rogue out there at this point. But also just to note, ultimately, it's her decision whether she's going to testify, even though she's saying that it is her attorney's.
Let me ask you, Alexis, as you're watching this testimony, number one, I did notice the witness was a little bit different on direct examination versus cross, when he got a little testy and a little, maybe argumentative might not be the exact right word, but sparring a little bit with the defense attorney. And is the defense most likely going to have their own accident reconstructionist? We know they did first trial. They probably will this time. So it won't matter as much what this expert said, because their own expert could support their theory of the case.
I would say he's definitely feisty, and I would say combative. I would take it up a notch from what you're saying. Also, one of the things he said, at one point he testified, and I think it was a slip up, he said that I wanted to make the test to determine that, not to figure out that, whether he was hit in that manner or not. So that kind of jumped out at me. But the defense is 100% going to bring in their own expert that says counter to what he just testified to.
Alexis, I'm so sorry. First, talk about the timing of that Google search. How important is that to the case for the Commonwealth?
Well, it's extremely important to both sides, because, if it was very important in the last trial. But what she's testifying to is that it didn't happen at the time that we thought it happened, and it's going to skew the timeline. So that's why they're emphasizing this element so much.
Alexis, you first tell me this. Do you think that now with this testimony of Deontay that they are getting to the racketeering aspect of this, the criminal enterprise, the sex trafficking?
The testimony that has come out in the last few days is really hitting all the prongs. I think that the prosecution has put on enough to get a conviction, meeting all the prongs for racketeering and the sex trafficking.
The feds don't usually try a case without believing they have the evidence to support it. Let's start with that premise. Alexis, the threats, the fear now being described, I think checks the box of some of the evidence that was necessary. What if this jury were to believe that the freak-offs were done willingly, by consent, specifically by Cassie Ventura? What if a juror said, no, I think it was all consensual? Does that mean game over? He's not going to be convicted?
Well, a jury can do whatever a jury wants, so we're talking about whether they're really meeting those prongs. The sex trafficking is moving individuals across, state lines for that purpose. So I don't think that we need what the defense is trying to make us believe is just domestic violence. I don't think that comes into play. As well as the other assaults on other individuals, then I don't think we have that issue either.